he got there earlier, and he was on the radio station talking about, I'm going to destroy Steve Harvey. And I'm going, wait, we're doing comedy. You know, we're not rappers. This ain't a beef.
His attorney offered that up publicly.
To me, her turning it down shows that it's not a money grab.
No, it shows that it's a bigger shakedown.
Steve Harvey's microphone was barely warm when the detonator went off. In a crowded room, off script and off network, Harvey spat out the line no studio lawyer could bleach. Shannon Sharpe is a snake. His voice didn't shake. He wanted this moment burned into the walls, into the phones. It was a bomb with a return address, and every comedian within 5 states heard it land. Sharpe, suddenly the villain in the eyes of comedy's old guard, stood accused of trading legacy for clicks, allowing his Club Shay podcast to turn into an open mic roast, where Harvey's name and rep got sliced up, all for a mountain of ad revenue and a mountain-sized Rolex. There was no TV cutaway, no commercial to save anyone. Harvey wasn't defending himself from Cat Williams' firebombs. He was pressing charges on Sharpe, straight to his face and straight to the business. The message couldn't have been clearer if Harvey had handed out black armbands. You are not one of us, not anymore.
Cat Williams was that guy. In 2005 to 2008, right in there, Cat, we were looking at Cat like, wow.
The explosion echoed for days, gaining heat by the hour. Harvey had avoided Cat's jabs for months, letting Club Shay's January ratings orgy speak for itself, but this time he turned, pointed, and unloaded. It wasn't just words, it was an eviction notice from the House of Comedy. This came barely a week after Sharpe's latest defense, when he claimed on his Nightcap podcast, I'm Switzerland. I stay neutral. The comedy world didn't buy it for a second. Harvey, at 67, pulled rank as the last of the TV kings, still holding a gatekeeper's keys. ESPN brass flagged Sharpe's name within hours. Social feeds popped with rumors of guest cancellations. Privately, more than one booker admitted Harvey's scorched earth play had spooked the legacy circuit. If you needed a career in the room, you weren't supposed to appear on Sharpe's couch, at least not if you planned on playing Atlanta, Vegas, or Hollywood anytime soon. A talent agent in New York, phone set to Do Not Disturb, summed it up. Nobody wants the Steve Harvey blacklist, not when he can pick up and call Netflix, CBS, or a club chain. That's what selling out for views really costs, a seat at the grown-ups table. By January 4, with the YouTube views still racking up by the million, Sharpe's Cat Williams episode looked less like a win and more like a trap. Harvey's accusations had ripple effects. Bookers started calling each other, old rivalries went hot, in green rooms, comics started whispering, who's siding with Steve, who's rolling with Sharpe, who's just here for the fallout. It was a full-blown comedy Cold War, with Harvey's loyalists taking potshots at anyone cozying up to Club Shay. Even Cedric the Entertainer, normally above the melee, made it clear he was not here for the circus. On social, fans tried to decode new alliances. Why was Mike Epps pulling out of Sharpe's next taping? Why was Tiffany Haddish's episode suddenly postponed? None of it accidental. A club owner in LA called the energy funeral tense, as if every set might be someone's last headline.
So you can't possibly respond to it. You're not sure of the meaning. And I'm going to continue hitting you because this is what comedians do.
Right. And if Harvey's snakebite wasn't enough, insiders claim it's all part of a bigger freeze-out. A former late-night show producer, Harvey's camp, but just close enough to Sharpe to gossip, insists this was more than a tantrum. There's talk of a secret pact, hatched in hotel suites and backroom dinners. Major comics, PR bosses, and syndication power brokers quietly promising to cut Sharpe out of the guest pool. A whispered embargo with unspoken rules. No big names on Shay until Harvey gets his pound of flesh. It's not a blacklist, a veteran manager said, but it might as well be if the right people pick up the phone. Meanwhile, Sharpe's booking team spent the week reaching out to new guests, only to be met with silence and lawyers. One big-name publicist in LA laughed. If your phone isn't ringing, that's your answer. That's only the iceberg's tip. There's the other rumor more radioactive than a Harvey soundbite and way more expensive. Call it the $6 million curse. Sharpe himself couldn't resist bragging about it, flashing the green-faced John Mayer Rolex, singing My Pockets is a Wonderland, telling Ocho Cinco he'd made more from one episode than any single NFL season. Whatever you think I made, multiply it by 3, Sharpe crowed, never bothering to say the word 6 million, because the number is almost too big to utter with a straight face. But the money's real. Bank statements don't lie. What nobody says on camera is who, exactly, Sharpe cut in on the windfall, and who had an interest in letting Hollywood's comedy kingpins burn on Club Shay. There are whispers. One digital network exec calls it dirty money, not podcast money. It's about outside producers, private equity, silent partners, who were only too happy to fund drama so long as Sharpe was willing to be the ringmaster. Another rumor, totally unverified, no public filings, claims some of that cash cycled back through shadowy hands, just itching to see a fall. Every deal has a downside, and right now, the bill is coming due.
Now, I'm a Christian, but I ain't that good a Christian.
That payout was gasoline on a bonfire. What started as an ego match over YouTube views turned into a power struggle with real stakes. Now, every day brings fresh blood in the water. Sharpe stepping away from ESPN after a $50 million lawsuit. Club Shay's next guest list vanishing, Steve Harvey daring anyone to cross the picket line, and looming over everything is the cold math of what happens when you cash in on chaos. Ratings spike, money flows, but the fallout can wreck careers faster than an unedited Cat Williams monologue. All it took was one snake bite and $6 million to turn the business into a battlefield, and nobody is betting the war is over.
Shannon Sharpe says he's temporarily stepping away from ESPN in the wake of a $50 million lawsuit accusing him of rape. A woman filed suit against Sharpe on Sunday, accusing him of raping her twice.
What happens to a media empire when the phone stops ringing? It wasn't just comedians locking Sharpe out. By midweek, sponsors were bolting like they'd seen a venomous reptile slither onto the conference table. One senior executive at a snack conglomerate confessed, off record, that the snake label had advertisers in a panic, with legal and compliance teams combing through every Sharpe-branded post for the faintest whiff of scandal. Some tried to slip out quietly, citing internal review cycles and Q1 budget shifts. Others, feeling the heat after Harvey's takedown went viral, yanked campaigns overnight. The chain reaction hit hard. Emails to Club Shay's ad team bounced back with the new corporate auto response, "We are pausing all spend pending further notice." That's code for, your value is now radioactive. Those dollars, once stacking up like casino chips, NFL, streaming giants, clothing labels, all evaporated in hours. A PR director for a national beverage company put it bluntly, "We can't risk having our product in the same algorithm as whatever this is." The $6 million Sharpe flaunted on his wrist started to look like Monopoly money, especially after a second sponsor dumped the podcast before lunch. With lawsuits piling up and depositions circling, one media broker called the entire podcast business a sandcastle at high tide. Even the Volume, Sharpe's supposed home for Club Shay, refused to answer direct questions about future renewals. No one wanted to be the last ad left on a platform accused of profiting off chaos. A finance officer at one agency had the final word: "You can't sell potato chips to families and bankroll a circus at the same time."
Alrighty, y'all. So the Shannon Sharpe ESPN, does he still keep his job conversation is beginning to, I was going to say beginning to happen, but it's been happening, but I think now it's beginning to get louder because of different things that Attorney Busby has released, including the audios. So right now the conversation is, why is Shannon Sharpe still able to be?
There's another twist behind the timing of this fallout, a detail the industry can't stop dissecting. Harvey didn't just react to the Club Shay firestorm, he waited, measured, and struck when Sharpe was already gasping for air. For months after Cat Williams' viral interview, Harvey refused to feed the beast. He kept public statements vague, played the dignified veteran, and let the rumor mill churn on its own. Insiders say the calculated silence only made the anticipation grow. Then, just as Sharpe's legal troubles hit a fever pitch and sponsors started heading for the exits, Harvey broke cover and delivered the snake indictment in public. This was no slip of the tongue or accidental leak. It looked, to the industry, like a masterclass in strategic revenge. The optics couldn't have been sharper. Harvey's outburst landed while Sharpe was embroiled in a $50 million suit, facing mounting scrutiny from advertisers and scrambling to control the narrative. By choosing this exact moment, Harvey ensured his words would be more than just a personal jab. They became the dominant headline, a rallying point for old-school comics, and a green light for networks and brands to distance themselves from the embattled host. The industry is filled with stories of grudges and comebacks, but rarely do we see such a perfectly executed power move, delivered when the target's defenses are already crumbling.
Things when, I've stayed quiet about it.
How do you, though?
Observers have begun speculating whether Harvey's public attack was righteous outrage or cold-blooded calculation. In the halls of industry power, more than a few see it as the latter, a legendary player using timing as his most devastating weapon. The logic is as old as show business itself. Why waste ammunition when the enemy is at full strength? Instead, Harvey allowed the legal filings, leaked audio, and corporate panic to do the heavy lifting. He only had to nudge the dominoes when the entire structure was already trembling. The result was swift and surgical, as if the years of tension and rivalry had been waiting for a single moment to burst. There's a growing sense that Harvey's move was about more than personal payback. It was a warning shot to anyone thinking of crossing the old guard. In a business obsessed with image and hierarchy, the veteran comedian's choice to let Sharpe sweat in the public eye, then finish him off with a single phrase, has already become cautionary lore. Even rivals who dislike Harvey's methods are privately admitting that the strike was impeccably timed. By turning the screws when Sharpe was most isolated, Harvey reminded every upstart podcaster and viral star just how quickly the tables can turn.
So I just keep going through. But then I'll tell you something too, haters motivate me. Because when they talking about me, that means I'm doing something.
All this has only deepened the theme of betrayal, raising the stakes for everyone watching. Was Harvey defending comedy's honor, or simply using Sharpe scandals as the perfect opening for a ruthless takedown? No matter which narrative you choose, the effect is the same. Sharpe was left exposed, friendless, and battered in the very moment he needed support most. The message could not be clearer. Sometimes survival in Hollywood depends less on talent or hustle, and more on knowing exactly when to attack. But the biggest mistake wasn't just chasing clicks. It was Sharpe's attempt to play Switzerland, a tactic that now looks more like setting up his own firing squad. I'm cool with Steve Harvey, I'm cool with Cedric, I'm cool with Ricky Smiley. We cool. Sharpe kept repeating the same diplomatic line in every interview, acting like the neutral bartender while the bar caught fire. On paper, he'd hosted all sides, Harvey, Cedric Williams, even Michael Blackson and Ricky Smiley, letting each one vent, roast, and accuse the others. But that neutrality collapsed when he gave Williams the microphone and let the roast spiral unchecked. Industry watchers, including a pair of senior club promoters in Atlanta, say Sharpe crossed an invisible line. By letting Cat Williams destroy careers unchecked, he'd stopped being a host and started being a fence for drama.
And the world was okay with it because it was me. Had that happened to anyone else, the world went crazy when Will smacked Chris.
Comics who once saw Club Shay as a platform to tell their side now saw it as a guillotine with no safety net. Nobody wants to sit in that chair next, an L.A. booker texted. Even Sharpe's old NFL contacts faded into the woodwork as the allegations against him multiplied and the lawsuits grew stickier by the day. First came the FS1 incident, settled quietly but never forgotten. Then the suit in Nevada. $50 million, multiple counts, headline screamed. By the time Sharpe tried to explain away a leaked audio, role-playing, not real threats, most advertisers and guests had decided there were safer places to go viral. Trying to be everyone's friend, Sharpe managed to end up with no friends at all. As for the rumors of a secret blacklist, that's not even a rumor now. Harvey's public condemnation flipped the lights on. What started as off-the-record warnings is now happening in plain sight. Comedy bookers compare notes openly, top podcasts quietly, as on Sharpe's team. Even late-night producers, normally desperate for YouTube crossover, have stopped replying to Club Shay pitches. An industry veteran in Burbank described the mood. This isn't some gentleman's disagreement anymore, it's a blockade. Williams' second interview, once teased as the next big haymaker, remains mysteriously unscheduled. Insiders whisper it's not a scheduling issue, it's the comedy version of a no-fly list. If you want Steve Harvey's Rolodex, you don't cross his picket line.
On Easter Sunday, a lawsuit was filed in state court in Nevada against Hall of Fame tight end Shannon Sharpe because he has become such a massive media star, especially in the past few years. The lawsuit is going to attract.
But the curse isn't just social, it's financial. Every time Sharpe flashed that John Mayer Rolex or cracked wise about multiplying podcast checks, the number haunted him. $6 million bought a one-way ticket to the front of the firing squad. Lawyers circled not just for the accusations and the headlines, but for a half-dozen business partners who feel cut out of a sudden windfall. One claims the Cat Williams interview was partially underwritten by shadow financiers hoping for exactly this level of destruction. None of that is in the official filings yet, but the network has refused to deny the whispers. What's certain is that every dollar Sharpe pocketed now comes with a lawyer's letter attached. And that green-faced Rolex is starting to look less like status and more like evidence. Meanwhile, the dominoes just keep falling. Sharpe announced his leave from ESPN temporarily, he swears, but the last time someone left temporarily under this kind of cloud, the network never took their name off the HR files. The sports world watched as Stephen A. Smith gave a friendly but telling send-off. They didn't need any definitive evidence. That was not something Disney was going to take. Translation, no one's betting on a return. Old clips resurface daily. Accusers from past years, once dismissed, are now paraded in the media as pattern evidence. Even Shannon's own teammates have started using words like shakedown and blackmail, but the smell of fear in every statement is impossible to ignore. When a brand as big as Disney is more comfortable siding with Harvey's old-school dignity than a viral podcast king, the writing's on the wall.
Once again, I've never seen anybody handle a situation worse than Shannon and his team. Like this is, they just handled it wrong from the beginning, from the whole beginning.
Yeah, well.
None of this feels accidental. What started as one comedian flaming another on a viral interview has grown into an all-out purge. And Sharpe, once untouchable, once everybody's favorite neutral zone, is stuck in no man's land watching the empire he built on unfiltered drama turn into a swamp. Harvey's snakebite was never just about ego, it was the starter's pistol for every rival, every rejected guest, every advertiser and agent with a score to settle. We have yet to see the bottom. Already, a source close to one major streaming service insists the Club Shay brand is considered untouchable until further notice. Another tipster, a former Sharpe associate, claims there are calls happening every day. People are openly discussing who will be the first to replace him. Here's the final jolt. While Sharpe tries to play victim, flashing his $1 million watch and counting his podcast views, nobody seems to be coming to the rescue. Not Stephen A. Smith, not Ocho Cinco, not the guests who once lined up to be part of his viral moment. The blacklist is no longer a rumor, it's a reality. The curse is more than money. It's humiliation, exile, and the sudden realization that $6 million can turn to sand overnight when every bridge is burning. So where does it end? Did Steve Harvey just slay the ultimate snake, or did the whole industry gang up to make an example out of Sharpe? A sacrifice to protect the old guard from new school chaos. Is Sharpe a villain, or the latest casualty of a business that loves scandal until it's time to pay the bill? Drop your wildest theories and hottest takes in the comments, because with the next scandal only one interview away, you won't want to look away for a second. Till then, stay sharp, keep your receipts, and remember, in Hollywood, the only thing faster than a rise is a fall.